there is a negotiation about the valuation between the investor and the company. Is it based on any predictable model that you prepare and do it? No, it is between two people who decide. And the decision could go either way. The same company could get a higher valuation, lower valuation, depending upon the market, depending upon investors. And it is based on negotiation. It is not based on any pricing model or anything else that you can do for a stock market or for a bond. This is not a bond. This is an equity investment in a company which may not have anything to show apart from a PPT. So how will you value that? You put in some conditions in the agreement like waterfalls and all that to protect yourself. Now you're trying to remove the exemption and bring in an income tax officer who can question you and say, on what basis you prepare the model? Why do you prepare the model? Where are the sales? Show me this, show me that, and harass you. Give me that information. We've gone through this kind of harassment. This will only drive away foreign capital. It's a very retrograde move, highly retrograde move. We know what happened in the past, and we don't want any kind of harassment. And let me give you some data. As per Inc. 42, India got $136 billion in startups from 2014 to 2022. During the same period, China got $832 billion. The US invested $2.34 trillion. Where is the money in this country? Where is the money in this country for startups? Where is the money in this country for young entrepreneurs? Risk capital is very short. We don't have many institutional investors. We have individuals to do it, but they don't have the capacity. Now you drive away the largest source of capital for Indians, that the non-resident investment through either the funds or otherwise, and subject them to all this kind of stuff. I mean, it is outrageous. I think everybody is very unhappy. The young people are very upset. I hope the Prime Minister will recognize this. What I have found is that the Finance Department, the Government of India is very insensitive to the needs of entrepreneurs and others. I went to a finance secretary much earlier when this was going on and spoke to him, and along with the CBD chairman, he laughed at my face. He just laughed it out. Then I had to go to the PMO and tell them, and they brought in some changes. Even when they brought in some changes, they had to, remake the changes 2 or 3 times, because what was discussed in the meeting and what came in the document was very different. There are people who are attuned to control. They think everybody in this country is a crook. Now, you look at the balance sheets, the top 500 companies in this country. Almost every company has got a tax dispute. Are you telling me the top 500 companies in this country don't pay their share of taxes? Why is there a dispute? Because there's tax terrorism. And young entrepreneurs have suffered tax terrorism to the angel tax, and that's why the government had amended. The finance minister had promised, I think, in an interview, because somebody sent it to me to say, we'll do away with this angel tax. We're examining this issue. Nothing happened. So what is happening now is outrageous. And I think, I will appeal to Prime Minister Modi through Startup Central to intervene and not to harass these young people. Most of the startup founders are engineers or first-time entrepreneurs. They don't understand all this. They're very scared. They're scared to deal with tax authorities. They, you know what they do? They send you notices. They make you come. They make you wait, threaten you. They attach your bank account. We've seen all this happen.
Right. Right. And of course, Mr. Pai, as you said that, these foreign investors are a major source of funding for the Indian startup ecosystem. So I just wanted to understand, will this now compel more startups to maybe flip overseas, as the foreign investors won't want to deal with this additional tax liability by virtue of their investment in the startups?
Well, the threat of an additional tax liability, the threat of litigation, the threat of tax terrorism and harassment increases dramatically. And I think many young people may as well say, I don't want to stay here. Remember, out of that 108 unicorns, how many are domiciled outside? Why do they domicile outside? They domicile outside because getting in money, foreign capital in and out is very difficult because of RBI regulations. RBI has changed many things. Now, the gift city is coming. Hopefully that will improve. Second, this tax harassment for everybody who comes in. I mean, look at the disputes. Tax disputes have gone up from 4.5 lakh crores to 12 lakh crores between 2014 to 2022. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley promised us, is there in the manifesto of the NDA 1, that they will stop tax terrorism. He spoke on the, in Parliament. But we have seen much more powers being given to tax authorities in the last 8-9 years. We have not seen an end to tax terrorism, even though the limits for appeals have gone up. That is true. The Viva scheme has come. Much of the public sector has done it. Many people have done it. But the quantum of disputes has gone up. And resolving disputes takes a long time. The commissioners take 1 to 2 years. Tribunal take 3 or 4 years. High Court take 8 to 10 years. Then you go to Supreme Court. 15, 20 years. I mean, do you want to go through all that mess? Who has got the time? Instead of focusing on business and growing the business and doing technology, are you going to spend time with the consultant to settle your tax disputes? Now, what are the percentage of tax disputes? It could be 10%, 15%, but the fear it creates. You're creating fear. We don't want to work in an atmosphere of fear. And the fear is because there is no redressal. There is no hope. Once a tax officer goes after you, issues a notice and pass an order, what do? If you have to reverse, go in appeal. The commissioner is not going to give you relief because now, 80-85% don't give relief. The data is there. Tribunal will give you relief. Then they'll go to High Court. What do? Why did this harassment? People are very scared in this country about these tax people. Look at all the big companies. Look at the harassment we've gone through for the last 25 years. I've been a CFO since 94. In my company, to complete assessment took 12, 15 years. 12, 15 years. The harassment has been there. I've been threatened that they're going to block a bank account, will issue a notice, will block a bank account, will go after you. I've been personally threatened by commissioners. I've been through all this mess personally for the company, and they'll make a profit into a loss. And when you go there, you know what they tell you? They tell you, look, we got a tax target. We got a tax target, and we will do this. You go in appeal. They tell you on your face, I know it is wrong, but I'm doing it because I want tax collection. You go in appeal. The other state, there's not been administrative reforms. So I would appeal to the finance minister and the prime minister, please don't do this. Don't treat our young people badly. Don't create fear. Let them flourish. They're young entrepreneurs. They will take the country forward. They've done India proud by creating India as the third largest startup nation. It's not easy. They struggle. They got money. The Indian institutions are not given money. LIC has not given money. They give money to big people. They're not given money to startups. They're not given money to funds. Where will you get money?
And Mr. Pai, this couldn't have, come at a worse time, because right now you've also seen the funding for Indian startups, which has dropped nearly 33% in the year 2022 to 24 billion dollars. And, even the likes of Tiger Global, for example, is one of the most prolific investors in India. It's invested in over a third of the startups that have actually turned into unicorns. You were talking about litigation. Of course, this is going to be a very long drawn process, but I just wanted to understand that, do you think that this move could now lead to potential litigations between the startups who are raising the capital and the tax authorities over this premium and valuation?
Yes. Look, you give power to a tax person, he will go after you. That is the nature of the beast. That's how they're built. They'll go after you. Many of them are my friends. I work with them. I've been on several committees. I know them well. I know the culture well. The culture has not changed. They go after you. You give them power, they'll issue a notice. They'll go after you. And what are you going to do? They'll pass an order. They'll tell you on your face, I will pass the order. I know what to do. Look, we don't have a good tax assessment system. There is no protection for honest taxpayers in this country. I'm saying it after being in this field for 40 years. Please, I am a patriot. I'm a nationalist. I love my country. I helped build this country. I'm saying this in public. I've been harassed. I still
and given the fact that, Mr. Pai, we've got this startups that have been reeling under this funding winter since the year 2022.
Yes.
Do you think that in terms of the timing as well, it's very adverse, and this could really adversely impact financing the startups?
Why will a foreign investor come and put themselves to such problems? Why will they do that? They've got options. They can invest anywhere in the world. As it is, the market is very bad. Money is not coming in. There is no euphoria. There is no surplus capital waiting to be sloshed down. And they know that, once you get tax and tax litigation, it's endless. You see, in other countries, if you have a tax litigation, it ends in 2 or 3 years. In this country, it's endless. It goes on and on and on and on. I mean, that's been the track record of this country. I don't see hope. So why will that come? It will shut down. It reduce the flow of taxes. It hurt innovation, drive away capital. It'll drive away investors. See, if the government feels that this has been abused by a few people who have taken money from outside, let them produce data and say, how many cases of NRI funding has come in the last 3 years? In how many cases have they found something wrong? How many notices have they issued? What has been the thing? Let them give all the data to prove the great majority of money that is coming is bad money. Today, when you get a foreign investor, the banks do KYC, you do a background check, all that is done. The money is kosher. The money is clean money. Now, when you say, this is not the valuation, you're taking too high a price, What can the tax authority say about the price? Are they experts in valuation? They're not experts in valuation. They have no expertise. Valuation is between two parties. You come to me and say, I feel my company is worth 100 crores. I say, I will come and give you money at 80 crores. You'll take it, right? I mean, well, what is the valuation? And you must know that after the valuation is done, because
Yeah, no,
of
Mr. Pai,
documentation,
you're right, completely understandable, because you're very vociferous about this topic and, what has been done now to the startups. But this aside, the angel tax aside, I just wanted to understand some of your initial thoughts on the other announcements that were made in the budget. For example, the Agriculture Accelerator Fund, or the extension of the date for incorporation by 1 year for IT benefits for startups. There was also the extension of the benefit for the carry forward of losses for the change of shareholding for startups from 7 years to 10 years, the removal of the minimum threshold of 10,000 rupees for TDS. How have you looked at some of these other moves that were announced for the startup ecosystem?
Look, I'm an investor in a large number of startups, so I'll be honest with you and tell you, these are a few crumbs that are being thrown in the name of startup, which mean nothing. There are only 1,000 companies who have got the tax exemption through a group called the IMD, Inter-Ministerial Group. We have spoken to the government of many years that this group is not working. They don't meet. They don't know what to do. And the government said, give us the norms. We make the norms. We gave it to DPIIT. DPIIT is shown to them. The tax authority is not accepting it. They're keeping quiet. I've spoken to 2 or 3 revenue secretaries last 4 or 5. It's not moving forward. So what is the point? Right? What is the point? Nobody's getting the 89,000 startup, 1,047 or something. I got the benefit. What is the point? Extend by 1 more year. Okay. Is it going to make a difference now? Next, the carry forward loss. Okay, is a nice thing. 7 to 10 years is a nice thing. Okay. But we need to see the condition. It's going to make a material difference. I don't know. I don't think it's going to make a material difference. But it's a nice thing to have, because I think in startups, you make large number of losses because they have OPEX instead of CAPEX. In an ordinary company, you have CAPEX. Here, that CAPEX become OPEX, so they do it. What we wanted was the reduction in the long-term capital gain for startup from 20% to 10% on par with foreign investors for Indian capital. Now look at this anomaly. In this country, if you take greater risk and put money into startups, you pay 20% capital gains when there's no liquidity. You go to the stock market, you can invest where all the information, the liquidity is at 10%. You are actually charging more for taking risk. No country does that. They give you a lesser tax for taking risk. Second, we wanted the ESOP taxation to be done for unlisted companies for the employees on the point of sale. Now, let us say I exercised my ESOP at 3 billion for a company. The company went for an IPO at 5 billion. After the IPO, the price comes down to 1 billion in a year because market is bad. I'm sitting on losses. And I already paid tax. I'm out of pocket. And I'm a poor employee. Why are you harassing me? For a listed company, if you say on exercise, I can sell in the market, I can get the price discovery is there, that is fine. For an unlisted company, when I exercise, who is going to buy? I have to pay money and hold. If I sell, I have to sell at a deep discount. So what is the point of an ESOP scheme? It doesn't work. We told them, do that, because you give this benefit, keep the shares under lock-in STL, nothing, radio silence, right? And the third thing, for all the companies to re-domicile, come out with good norms. We've seen PhonePe do that and paid a lot of tax. Others cannot pay. I hope they do it to the gift scheme. Hopefully there's a movement, but they should have announced. We're working on that. Then the government of India set up the Damodaran Committee. Remember, Damodaran Committee in the last budget, the finance minister announced. The Damodaran Committee has given a report. Any mention of that? Nothing. Radio silence, nothing. Why are you treating these young people? The future of this country is so shabbily. Treat them well. Damodaran Committee has come. There are deep problem of AF taxation. Please clarify all that, clear the air, increase the investment flows. Prime Minister Modi gave us this vision of Startup India in 2014. He meets young people. He's helpful. He wants this country to develop. But in the finance ministry, nobody cares. They're very insensitive. Nobody cares. I don't blame them. The political leaders should understand. We need to have interaction with the political leaders. They must understand and they must do it because they're our representatives. And we have spoken to them. Nothing happens. You cannot create despair and anger and frustration among young people who are the future of this country. They have to take this country forward in the Amrit Kal for the next 25 years.
Yeah. All right, your thoughts have been noted. Thank you so much, Mr. Pai, for joining in and giving us your perspective on what exactly